Evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. I do probably think we're a wee bit. I thought it was me. I stuck the headphones in, but I don't know. I'm not tech savvy, so I think it's a way. I don't know, but I apologise beforehand. But anyway, tonight we have Highland with Jennifer from our US team in Oregon.
It's so funny.
And our guest once Jennifer stops laughing, that is. Our guest today are Highland Paranormal. We got Highland Paranormal back. But this time it's not just Liam. Hi, Facebook user. Hi, Jacqueline Doll. We have joining us for the first time, probably the last time, after the show, is Lyn and her cat.
We always know when it goes on.
Hence why mine is down below.
And we have Liam as well. Liam, I need to ask you, buddy, first time. I saw some of your posts last week, I believe it was. You were actually out yourself talking to things.
Talking to things?
Yeah, you were staring at the sky in one of them. Hello from Aberdeen based group, friends on the other side. Welcome. There was one photo you put up, you were standing and you were staring at the sky.
You are.
Oh, yeah. I was doing one of my ghost walks, and I have got a habit when I talk that I do a lot with my hands when I'm talking, and I was actually explaining a marriage lintel which can be seen on the side of a wall beside the oldest house in Inverness. That's actually what I was pointing to. Yeah.
I thought you'd maybe have lost it or something,
I lost it years ago.
Talk to the Blousers, Laura and Craig are at a wedding, so I think they might have been animated, So it's actually quite good at watching for a wedding reception, So Lyn, I'm going to start with you though. I'm afraid you've never met me before. You know I'm going to ask you, don't you? What's the one question you always get asked?
Why do I do it?
No, would you have to get dinner? That's
The feedback I didn't get.
I'll try my head again, right? Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves.
It sounds slightly underwater from where I'm at. And I've adjusted everything on my side.
In fact, what I'll do is I'll mute each one of these individually and see if it stops, and then we'll know who the culprit is. So I'll mute you first to see if there's any. Are we hearing anything?
That's a bit better.
There's a little bit of an underlying playback, but it's like a reverb.
Try Jennifer. Anything? I'm not hearing anything.
It's a bit better.
So, there's a little reverb as soon as everyone started talking, then the reverb started happening.
I think we've had this problem before with StreamYard. It seems if we've got more than like 3 people on the panel, I don't know if you guys are like, because you obviously do your shows, you seem to get some feedback, an echo, or some kind of sound.
Just like me, tech is I'm strange bedfellows with the tech.
Tech is my enemy. Tech is my enemy. So Lyn, back to you dear. Sorry about that. What got you interested in all the kind of paranormal stuff and stuff like that?
Oh, I think first got me into the paranormal, UFOs and ufology, and then the ghost thing started with the Most Haunted, and then Ghostbusters. Then got me quite interested in it because there are things in this house. We've been in this house 30 odd years, so there's things happening in this house. So yeah, that's what started it. Wondering what could be when you try the logical explanation, you're only left with the paranormal explanation. So yeah, just wondering what was going on about this place. And then about 3 years ago, I saw that I've been Highland Paranormal since 2012. Been doing the research, but about 3 years ago in this house, I saw this shadow figure at the bottom of the stairs at 11 o'clock in the morning. I was coming out one of the bedrooms, looked in the stairs, and there was just flat head, shoulders, flat, no contour. Couldn't see through it. And then okay, that's there, and I just went whoosh, in the lobby. And yeah, so just things happening around this place 30 years ago, and my ufology and just getting into that paranormal thing, and Most Haunted and Ghost Hunters was starting at that time, and that just started to pique my interest to chase doing what was happening in this house.
So you were a Most Haunted fan?
Yeah, in the early days.
And I know you say in the early days. What about the later days?
Yeah.
I love putting people on the spot.
I like when they use the equipment and was more scientific. But there's a lot of things happen later that they just go with feelings and things that are happening, and yeah, they drifted away from the truth, I think, a bit.
Do you think they kind of get carried away with it? Because it was a popular. I don't know if it's still on. No, actually, I don't know if it's still running.
It's I think now. There's certainly replays on Sky, but yeah, it's that old devil when you make a program for TV, entertainment, provide entertainment, and as we all know, paranormal is 99% standing in the dark, not getting anything much, and you just get the odd maybe K2 or now with cat balls, and you just get that odd thing, and that's not going to be good TV. Sorry?
I thought you said something else. It's this feedback that's putting me. I know you mean 99% is just standing in the dark where it's a graveyard, a castle, doesn't matter where it is. And there is these shows, as soon as you walk in the door, bang, something happens. Fred's there or Mary's there. Right across the kind of thing. And I watched a show like a few weeks back now, and they'd been in a house with 6 demons in it, believe it or not. Tell no lie, 6 demons, and they went live at night. They'd been in this house all day, and they get rid of 4 demons, just like that. They kicked it, and there was still 2 big ones. I didn't know demons came in sizes, 5'2", 5'6", whatever. But these are 2 big demons, and they were hiding in their loft. That's what demons hide these days. They were hiding in their loft. And then came one. Suddenly it was 1 demon, so you're sitting there thinking, where did number 5 go? Because, and then this woman lady, and says, right, I'm going up in the loft, and I'm going to get the demon. I've told her, and it still feels. There's another guy, and he was quite, he was not shy around the steak pie, shall we say. He was no stranger to me, if you know what I'm saying. And so this lady went up in the loft, and she was going up to do all sorts of prayers and stuff like that, as you do when you meet a demon in your house, And he says, if you chase the demon down here, I'll belly flop him. And he was serious. forget.
There's so many TV shows that do this, unfortunately.
Well, this wasn't a TV show. This was an actual team.
Doesn't matter. There's too many that do that.
And I thought, well, obviously they were saying we're ordained exorcists and all that, blah 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 blah, and so all the years of training and all the rest, you don't need all that. You just need to learn how to belly flop. Job done. Eat a few snake pies. And the thing that got me was they were convinced. They were, they put a pentagram on the ground, satchel breadcrumb, and they were saying, what way will we point the pentagram? And I said, well, you better do it to the north. We'll do it to the north. And so this woman, bless her, was on the ground with a bowl of crumbs doing a pentagram. And I said, right, I'm going up in the loft to tackle the demon. And, well, you see it in films.
Sorry, every single person out there who's legit is listening to you going, what the? I hope the hell that's not happening. And every witch out there is going, oh, hails no, that's not how that works. Oh my God, that's going to make my hair pull my hair.
She went up in the loft and started, I was maybe prayers or something like that, the usual kind of, but all she was saying was, you're not allowed up here, so get out. I order you by the divine and the fact, so get out, stop hiding, you've been causing trouble. Because that's going to make a demon move, isn't it?
You've been a naughty demon.
That's what he said. That's what he said. Get out. Oh, right, sorry, I'm off. I'll go down the stairs and get belly flopped by the eye master down the stairs. Basically.
Oh my God.
We've been doing it wrong for years, haven't we? Oh dear.
Oh gosh. If I were to do that crap on investigations, I'd be thrown out by the clients. Oh.
But, see, they couldn't go live because of everything that's been happening all day. But the thing was, you never seen any evidence, you never seen any video, or there was nothing. There was just these two, I'm not going to give my name. It's been so bad in here, and we didn't want to endanger yous by going live, because demons can travel through your phone.
Gee, tell us how you really feel, Scott.
Oh, I really no, but seriously, I want you as well. And it's clowns like that because look like. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? We've talked about this before, isn't it? It covers everybody with the same brush. We're all idiots, and I know that we've approached places and then we've been told on the quiet when these places don't get back to us that it's because actually they don't think that paranormal investigation is a serious subject. If everything you see in the newspapers is nonsense normally, and there's normally at least one or two stories a week in the tabloids over here. Some woman who's divorced her ghost of a husband after marrying him.
Tabloids are fun.
Don't get me started on demons. My.
Oh, you and me both. That's it. The United States has gone crazy anyway. They're now fixated on aliens.
Oh, those you start there. Did you ever read the story about the woman who married a pirate? A ghost, a ghost pirate, and he divorced him. She divorced him because he went out. This is serious stuff. Respect to the women, but I mean, I'm divorcing him because he went out. But how does she know? She can't see him. Basically, what do you think, Lyn? What's your opinion on all these crackpots?
Whatever, if that makes you feel life, go for it. But then that's what gets people on telly, and that's what the hell ufology world has been like that. Oh, little green men. We're getting more disclosure now, and it's starting to become more acceptable to have seen things. So yeah, no. So unfortunately,
I'd like to know how much money that woman has made from the media, because she's been on daytime TV shows. You know,
Which means they have to pay her to come on.
Take money for the appearance. She gets a trip and a hotel and things.
Pay for the divorce. Hopefully enough to pay for the divorce. Yeah.
The boring
How does that even work?
Stuff is not doesn't sell newspapers.
Yeah.
I'm just reading somebody saying that they interviewed the husband. You know, get the husband's side of the divorce with a story on it. That no doubt that'll come out. You know, I know one gentleman who probably will say that he's interviewed him. You know, I'm not going to say names, but I think you know who I'm kind of talking about.
You jump on. I mean, I think we were all critical after that horrible submarine disaster on the Titanic, that there were certain groups who were straight on saying that they'd connected with the crew and whatnot. And I mean, it's just ridiculous. But again, that's the other side of it, isn't it? Is these mediums who are basically, you know, believe that they can contact anybody and everybody's coming through to them on tap, basically. And they're just as bad as the demons, again, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, it's what I mean. There's something through that, you know, that tragedy that happened. You know, these people who say, right, we've contacted the spirits and this is what went down, you know, this is about. Do they never take into account the victims' families?
No.
You know, that's what gets me. And especially that clown over in America that does it.
Yes, there is. I haven't heard of the latest that he may be doing. I'm hoping he is not.
Was he at it again?
He's always at it. What are you talking about? If there's a celebrity that passes away, heck yeah, it's like the first thing he goes after. So I haven't heard anything about Paul Rubens yet, but I'm waiting.
Look at Queen Elizabeth. She passed away last year. You know, the next day she was over in America talking to him.
Right. So he did that with that. Betty White. He did, as I said, England. He's done. I forgot how many. He's done so many. I'm not saying that he's a 100% fraud. I just think that he likes to get the goods first before anyone else gets them. And whether it's fabricated or not, I can't say. I just don't approve of his methods.
Yeah. I don't approve of him at all. He was on the other week there saying Michael Jackson came back to see him. You know, he talked to Michael Jackson after Michael first passed, but see him a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, did that. I'm surprised that he didn't say anything about Julian Sands, since Julian Sands was just recently found about a month ago, and is confirmed that he had passed. Too bad. I love that actor. But yeah, it's those things that happen here in America that you're like, what the hell are you doing? It makes us legit people who like this world of paranormal enthusiasm look like we're the bad guys, but we're not the bad guys. They're the bad guys because they're making us look bad.
As soon as you mention paranormal, you know, folk like that, no, not interested. I've seen TV programs and, you know, read the stories and that. It's all fake. It's not real, you know. And as Lyn was saying, there's just that, you know, 99% is walking, you know, standing about, what have you, and then go to investigations and something major to happen. You know, but it can be the slightest thing, a tug at your ear or, you know, anything. Which a lot of people don't kind of understand this. So, Lyn, how did you hook up with this guy? Actually, I think I should that.
Well,
He's in Inverness.
I don't know which side is he on your screen.
At that time, my brother was in the group, and I think they'd been going about a year at that time, and I think Liam was understanding that research took a long time, and involved a lot of digging around and things. So he decided to bring me and another person on board to do history research. I had just done my family tree, my husband's family tree, so I knew my way around the websites and everything here. So yeah, so I came on board to just do that to begin with, and then started to go in some investigations I could get to because of work. And now I've got a day job, I can get to more investigations. So I'm more in the investigation side now. I just still do the research.
Yeah,
I just love it. I get a name and I'll chase it down, and if I can, digging up little bits, give them a dress or a castle, or a house, and then I'll go off and do my investigation and to work and see if I can find. And sometimes I get some good stuff. The only time I get disappointed is when I don't get anything. And it's like, nothing.
You burst your balloon. Laura, Jennifer and Sarah, they do our research. To be honest with you, I don't have the patience and I don't have the intelligence to do it. You know,
I need a degree in research. Liam used to introduce me to this as the historian. I'm like, no, I'm not got a degree in history, but I'm pretty proficient in doing research, so I'll be the history researcher.
It's the whole. I don't know where to start. See if it's like the Tudors or Kendall, something like that. You know, yeah, I research that. You know, because always I love them. Well, I love history, but it's the whole Googling thing, where to start and what to type in, what you're looking for. You know, I'll type in a basic question. You know, like man who lost his head in film. You know, and see what happens. But and I always find sometimes you go into Google and I've put a question in, and you get all these DIY sites in Cambridge. You've got these different sites coming up that get nothing to do with what you're after, and that's when I give up the ghost. Pardon the pun. I thought, no, you know, and I'll say one of the girls, go and have a wee look at that and see what happens. And they do find out what you mean, man. They do come up with, you know, what they're looking for. But I don't know if Liam's the same or not. Maybe a guy thing, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I rely on Lyn now because she's much better than I ever. And Lyn's also got access to certain sites. So you can actually look at press articles specifically, even down to the point of necessary looking at birth certificates and death certificates. So I think I'm right in saying that gets costly.
Only if it's a recent ones, the recent death certificates you can't get unless you send actually away from them. They cost £12 each. But you Scottish People is the go-to site for names. You can't search in a place. I wish they would introduce that you could just search a place and address. That would be so much easier. But you can search a name, but it's best to get two names. You type in one name and you get thousands. Even you reduce it to get filters on to place, things like that. And then the British Newspaper Archive, again, it's a pay site. You can look up things, but you have to pay for it. So I have a yearly subscription to that, and it gets lots. I go in there and I can put an address in there, and if their stuff comes up, then it comes up on the address, and then that gives my name, and then I can go research the name. The valuation rolls in Scotland, you can put in a place and you can find the address, and then you can get some names of the owner or the renter, and then you can chase that name down. So yeah.
It's-
There was a investigation years ago at the Clapham Harry Inn. I didn't get to go on that investigation, but I gave them a list of licensees. So they read out the names of the licensees. One name stood out, and every time that name came up, they read the names, the K2 would go off. I just given them the list of names, so they didn't know. So said that, and then I chased down the name on Scotland's People, and he had died in there in the 1920s of diabetes. So they didn't know that. I didn't know that. So yeah, that's a good one.
It's when you get stuff like that. The thing that gets me is when you look at something and there's just all this information. It could be one page, but the writing's tiny, and there's 10,000. Jennifer put a thing in the chat the other day, read away about membership requests the other day, and Jennifer put a screenshot, a list up, and I looked at it and I was done.
Oh, because I was trying to show him how many registered paranormal teams there are in Oregon. Just Oregon, which is 66 currently registered, that doesn't mean that 66 are all active.
Because we get 56 new member requests. We've been out and I came home and just checked and it says, 56 new member requests. And I was like, holy, well, I don't like to say what I said, but I was like, so I was just on the team and saying and all the rest of it, right? What do we do? Do we need to go through each and every one? And then Laura and Jerry try and explain it to me how it works, but I was still totally lost.
We tried. We tried. It's all right.
I mean, we're just a basic team, we're nothing fancy, we don't do all the scientifics, no disrespect to anybody that does it, but, there's Rosie in as well. Hi, Rosie, the cool guy. Rosie's partner has got a new clothing line out, so go to the Cool Gang and you'll see his design. Pretty good, actually. Just a wee plug for your man's business there, Rosie. All right. I'll send you an invoice later on. But see, we're just a basic team, and all this technical stuff, I just don't understand it. And that's why I like to keep your investigations just plain and simple. With as little tech as possible.
You have to play to your strengths. You have to play to your strengths and stay, I think, and be comfortable with the equipment that you're using. We've done events. We did an event where and he had more equipment than we had. He really didn't know how to use it, a lot of it, and it was some very expensive equipment. That it wasn't cheap. Clearly, he didn't know how to use it. So I think it is better to keep things simple. I think it's for Scott as well. When I get now more old school than I used to be.
I'm very old school. We did Charlie Knox, some other folk, and Sarah and I were doing in one of the rooms down the stairs, and Charlie came in with, and I don't know. So if he does watch this, Charlie, I do apologise because I never told you this last year. He handed me this. I was at a tablet, and there was something attached to it, and he was like, "There, go and give that a go." So you don't want to appear kind of stupid, so you nod your head and you agree. And I said, right, cheers, mate, I'll try this one. And I looked at it, and when they left the room, I kind of put it down. I didn't know what button to press with that, and I didn't want to break it or something, do you know what I mean? So cheers, Charlie, I'll give it a go. So if you are watching Charlie, then apologies, but I get binned. Well, I didn't get binned. I didn't put it in the bin. I get picked at the side because I just don't understand it. And I don't think Spirit understands it either.
No, I don't. I like scientific stuff. I'm very much a scientific person. But the Ovilus, it just, I don't understand how that can possibly work. How some spirit can go into this box and pick out a word.
Depends on which version of Ovilus you're using. I have an Ovilus 5B, and it has yes, I do understand that one. I do understand how that one works. But it's an IT device. I mean, that's all they all are. All of them are IT devices. So it's just a device. It's not that they go into it. It's using the energy from it, and it just uses it as a how should you say it? Like a spirit box works. It's amplifying the sounds around you that you can't normally hear. So the Ovilus is bringing in that same generated noise that you can't see with your eyes. So you have the radio spectrum. So you have the radio spectrum is actually, a high frequency. So when you get a radio frequency coming in and you hear the radio person talking about the DJ, the music, and then you hear that background noise. So that's the radiation noise. That's the radiation noise that's actually coming through. And that's what the IT devices are actually trying to get, not necessarily the radio signal. They're trying to get the radiation noise that is appearing on those waves. And theoretically, they're supposed to be able to hop on those waves and kind of go, okay, here, I'm going to use this energy to speak using that technology. So it's not like they come into the box. It's more of a, hey, we're going to use the energy and frequencies of said box to talk.
Did you understand that?
I understand the theory. I just don't know how they come. I can think. I like things that K2s detect energy. That's plain and simple.
Well, electromagnetic fields, correct?
Yeah. Infrared detects changes in temperature. They're camera. We've just invested in a SLS. We're playing around with that, but I just don't know how they can use their energy to flash up a word on a screen. So, yeah.
It's nothing different than using a recorder. And when you go back and you're playing your recorder for the EVP, and you're looking for that one EVP, when you look and you see it on your thing, there's nothing there. But you see, okay, here's your speaking thing, and then all of a sudden it's like flatlined. So it's the same. I know it's a hard. Trust me, it was a hard concept for the past. I want to say I just got it in my head about 3 years ago how it worked. So it took me a while to get there. I've been doing this for over 10 years. So it's just the frequency and being able to watch the spectrum and the radio spectrum and how everything works and how it bounces around. It's one of those things like, okay, so someone has theoretically figured out how to get them to talk, whether it's really how it works. It's just of course, it's all theory. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, it's best guess, right? But then again, like the Ovilus, some people don't know how to use it correctly. The Ovilus 3, Ovilus 2, the first generation Ovilus, a lot of people don't use them correctly. The most recent one, the Ovilus 5B, has all these extra devices. So it doesn't just talk, but then it has motion sensor and K2 ability. And I'm like, oh my God, talk about sensation overload. If I was a ghost, I'd go, I'm not touching that with the 5-foot pole. Because it's a lot to take in. But I don't usually use everything else on that box. I only use the voice talk. And half the time, it's a bunch of bull garbage. There's nothing.
I mean, I get what you're saying, Lynn. I don't understand it either. We use the necrophonic and the spirit talker, which we've had some good results with, and I know they are loaded with random words, and you do get a lot of them. But I just go with it because we're asking a question, whatever, and we get an answer back that's relevant to what we're asking. Then I'm a happy man, but I don't understand the whole concept. How they actually do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Of course it does.
I think I'm just slagging myself off as being thick tonight, man.
No, it's no different than what they were doing in the 1970s when they were taking a TV set and putting it to a channel that doesn't have anything and just watching white snow. It's the same concept. Instead of using radio waves, using the visual waves that are coming through and hoping to actually intercept. Again, theory. Okay, I've done way too much research on this stuff.
Just a tad we put too much research. So Lyn, you're from Aberdeen.
Aberdeenshire.
Whereabouts in Aberdeenshire? Sorry.
Aberdeenshire. Aberdeenshire split into north, central, and south, and north. Now, have you ever watched Local Hero?
Sorry, though, I missed that.
Have you ever watched
Local Hero? No, that's before my time.
That was an easy, big blockbuster. It's just been an anniversary year. I think 40 years this year. There's been a big thing in Bath. And anyway, there was Charlton, the other guy. Anyway, so I live 4 miles inland to Pennon, where that was filmed. So the red the phone box. So yeah.
Like, I used to drive the trucks, and I used to walk Aberdeen every single week and round the, up by Ellen and then out towards Banff and Portsoy. And I'm going to call it again, the best steak pie in Scotland is in Portsoy. I think I told you, Liam, ever know. Have you ever one?
I haven't been back to Portsoy yet. I'm back in Portsoy. We're back in Portsoy in October. So I'll maybe have to get to Portsoy a bit earlier that day.
Do you remember where it's situated in Portsoy? No, the Portsoy.
I will ask again neither time. No point telling me now because I'll forget.
You can't miss it. It's the last shop on the left-hand side as you're coming out of Portsoy going towards Elgin. It's a wee baker's there. Baker's Butcher.
So cool.
Lyn knows who I'm talking about.
Oh, well.
So there you go. I'm unplugging the steak pie again, but I love that area. I used to go up there every week, and I love going up north and Aberdeen and out the back end, and used to go up to Elgin and everywhere. And it's just a history in the place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You can't think in Aberdeenshire without hitting a castle. Be it a fully built one and functional one or a crumbling ruin. They're just all over.
Jennifer, she doesn't have that kind of history here. She gets jealous sometimes.
It's not as old.
She's really ancient. Well, no, me
I had to look up where Aberdeen was. I didn't know where it was, so now I know where it's at.
Was the oil capital?
Yeah, no, I see it now. I'm looking at a map.
We are we've sold out, but we've got a castle in Aberdeenshire that we're going to do a big investigation in at the end of September. So we're very much excited about that.
Yeah, really looking forward to that.
Have you ever done? I'll probably get his name wrong, right? So you can move the back end Aberdeen. Is it Fifey Castle? Fifey.
I'm not even sure.
It's over on the right hand side. I know that.
Yeah, I know we've not done Fivey.
Fivey, okay.
What did it? Fifey? What did I say? Fifey.
Fivey.
I have no idea.
FYV.
Is that a wifey from Fife? A Fifey?
Yeah. It's a less to do. There's a lot of things in Fivey.
It's a beautiful big castle. I used to see it every week. Passes. So it's Fivey. That's how you say it.
Yeah. It was when the family were thinking and selling it. Thankfully, the National Trust got it, but it was on a certain American list to buy and turn into a golf course. So, but thankfully, it's safe.
I remember that's a couple of years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. I started to remember getting back. They were wanting to put holes in it and hit wee boys about the place.
A while ago, quite a while ago, but yeah, that was one of the ones he was looking at. But thankfully, it was National Trust time, so I've been around it lots of times.
He didn't manage to get his hands on it, shall we say. So we are coming up to you a week on Saturday.
Yep.
Aye, a week on Saturday. So where are you taking us? And don't say
Sorry?
And don't say McDonald's.
I'm going to take you to a graveyard. I'll ask Jennifer, because she should know who this woman is. Do you know Isabel Gowdy?
If I look up and see a face, I might. I don't know.
Isabel Gowdy was a witch who gave the most complete confession without being tortured, apparently, back in the 1600s. So she's quite famous for that reason. There's two theories behind that. One, that she might have actually been a bit of a Kim Kardashian of her day, and she actually was just looking for a bit of, publicity and in the spotlight. Who knows? But we're taking you to the graveyard where she met the devil himself.
Okay. I'm looking her up now. No, I have not heard of her ever.
Okay.
Sorry.
So yeah, we'll take you there. And if you go back, I think another sort of 20 years before that, Scott, you've actually got the Battle of Old Durham, which took place around there as well, between the Royalists and the Covenanters. So it's a very kind of historic place. It's only a little place, Old Durham. It's not very big, but actually, out of the Isabel Gowdy witch trial, she actually gave a lot of other names, and I think something like 27 witches were actually tried in Old Durham, which is quite a high number. When you look at Inverness, here where we are, which would be much smaller time, but would still have been a fair size bigger than Old Durham, and Inverness only had 29. And the 27 in Old Durham were all basically almost all around the time of Isabel Gowdy and her confession, which she went into great detail about getting jiggy with the devil and everything. So yeah, she was getting jiggy with it. I'm careful. I'm choosing my words carefully. But yeah, if you actually, I have got a book on Isabel Gowdy, and it goes into quite a bit of detail. Yeah.
No, she's one witch I don't know about. I know about the Pendle witches only because I have information on them.
But yeah, I think Isabel Gowdy's kind of famous for the fact that the confession side of it was just so detailed. So we actually went there last year as part of the Nairn Book Festival, celebrated her last year. And there was various talks at the museum in there, and various things about her. So yeah, she as I said, we'll take you there.
It says 1692, so that's before the Salem witch trials happened.
Yeah.
But not long. There's that period. It's interesting how close together that is. And when you say that many people and that names and where she confessed, where quite the opposite happened in Salem, where people like no.
Well, in general, that's the whole thing. Yeah, in general, everybody goes, "Oh, I'm not a witch," but she apparently said, "Yeah, I'm a witch, and I'm going to tell you everybody about it, and I'm going to drop you a link in it as well." Yeah.
I mean, she's always as bad as Dendike, but that's okay.
There's actually a very good page that Edinburgh University has put up as well, which is like a map of Scotland, and it's got, you can click on it in the various places, and it'll tell you the names of the witches that were tried. Now, these are only the ones they know about, so it's not going to be a complete list. I know from the Inverness area, it's not a complete list.
Of course not. It
but
never
it's
will
so
be.
fascinating and horrific at the same time.
according to the website that I was looking up from Edinburgh, it was saying that where the trials were started, and it took, I mean, it was a long period of trials, but why did it take until the 1880s for transcripts to even be given or to public? I mean, that's really interesting. Because they're saying that it took that long before anyone was allowed to even look at the transcribe or what transcribed. So why they wanted to prosecute and go, okay, we don't want this, but then 200 years later they go, oh, now you can finally know what happened. Like, I'm trying to understand this.
We know in Scotland there was a lot, there was a lot of innocent,
Right.
basically everybody, but it's certainly in Scotland, and I think in Salem as well has happened, that actually just turned out that it was then an excuse. If you didn't like your neighbour or you fell out, you just said, yeah, you're a witch. I think the church in Scotland had a lot to do with it.
Well, no, trust me, I know the church had a lot to do with it. It's just when you look at the transcripts from the Salem witch trials, it went out in books like 50 years later. But when you look at the history here, at least according to the website, mind you, I'm going by what the website says, that it wasn't made public knowledge completely until the 1800s, which is that's a long time to keep things on the down low.
Yeah. Well, you've got to remember, it's only last year that actually the Scottish government, I think it was last year, might have started this year, actually pardoned and apologised for the way these people were treated. And the Church of Scotland apologised as well for the way that these people were treated. But yeah, it took a long time.
All they did, the judges pardoned everyone that was accused or hung in Salem. I want to say the last one was like 2 years ago, but the church will not issue an apology. The judges will, but not the church. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I think sorry, Jennifer, on you go.
What?
I thought you were in the middle of saying something and I interrupted you. Did I not interrupt you?
No, it's all right. The way this is blame technology.
I think a lot of the judges, it was just I mean, you take Roger Knowles, presided over the Pendle trials. He was just an egotist. He just wanted his name out there. He wanted to gain favour in the eyes of the king. And I think that was the case with a lot of the judges. It was all steered towards the king. That's why, I mean, the major witch hunts, witch trials, whatever you like to call them, were all in the 1600s. By 1735, it was dying out because the king then decided, well, wait a minute, maybe these are only witches. Maybe we're getting all this wrong. So the king started to take another kind of view on it. And the way that they tried accused witches totally changed as well. There was 4 taken from, I think it was Pendle, on command of the king. He wanted them brought to London to be tried, whereas before they were just tried in their local village, local court. The king wanted these 4 people brought to London. What they did, they took them to London and they tried them. And the king presided over the trials, and he says, they're innocent, let them go. This is stupidity. That's the other reason. When we did Witch Week, we could hardly find any witch trials in Wales. Also around Scotland, England, but in Wales.
I bet you there were. They just didn't. They weren't publicised.
We're on record. Well, one of the reasons we found, we don't know if it's true or not, was just simply because the judges there refused to preside over the trials because they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have a great knowledge, and so they says, no, we're not doing it. And what happened to the accused, I don't know, but there was very, very little trials. And then also in the early 1700s, it started to kind of die out. I mean, it's still on. There was still.
The very first witch trial was in 1428.
Sorry, no?
The very the very, very first witch trial was in 1428. But you're right. Not until the 1600s did it start speeding up. Actually, correction. King James I, he's the one who sped it up.
Yeah.
So, with that, yeah.
Because it was rife, in the UK. It was everywhere because it turned into a business more than anything.
Yeah. Well, I tell a story on my walk about a witch pricker. So you know what a witch pricker is?
Yeah.
Put the needles in. So there was one actually called Patterson who came up to the Highlands from Edinburgh and oversaw trials at Kirkhill near Inverness. About 12 people were actually kind of prosecuted as a result of it. But there was actually a twist in it because Patterson, who everybody thought was a man, was actually a woman. And when they found out that Patterson was a woman, they put her on trial, and they actually shipped her off to America at that point, I believe. But that was the last we ever heard of her. So we don't know if she actually even made it there. But yeah, you're right. It was there was a lot of people just trying to make money out of it in any way they could.
There wasn't any, for what I know, there wasn't any qualifications needed to be a witch pricker.
No.
You could just turn up in the village and say, I hear there's witches here. I'm a witch pricker. I've got a sharp thing. Let's do it.
Right. Until the colonies decided to go, something isn't right, and they demanded how to do it. What they actually started making laws, and they told the church that we need to have an itinerary of what we're looking for. We just can't accuse, because Reverend Joseph Hale came over during the witch trials, and he's all, there's something not right. And he went over to England to go, okay, something's not right. So he was going back and forth, or I should say, writing to England and trying to find out what the hell, how can we change things. So a lot of things rested on, ironically, on Reverend Hale. Saying, hey, we need to have this. You can't just prosecute a person because you said that. I don't know. In England, did they use spectral, or in Scotland, I should say, spectral evidence for their trials?
No, I think from the trials ones that I've read, and I've only read a few, that they're pretty sketchy, and they've relied basically on the person admitting through torture in those cases that and there's some that are really simple. There was one I read last year, which was a fascinating one about a woman in Inverness who she had basically she was a bit of a loose lady, I think, and I don't think she was the sharpest tool in the box, but she admitted to being with the devil. But the more you read it, you worked out that the devil was clearly a soldier from the fort, and nothing more than that. So I don't think I think it was more sort of simple, but torture methods were basically used. I mean, obviously there would have been claims made. I mean, there's lots of stories about what witches did and what they could do. But yeah, to prove it now.
It's just interesting when you look at the different trials over history, what they considered evidence versus not evidence.
Well, look at Pendle. Most of the Pendle evidence was based upon, I don't know the age is disputed, but she was between 12 and 14. Some people say she was 18, on Little Alice. This is where most of the evidence came from. And then they were condemned on the Good Friday meeting as well. Because they instead of going to church, they went to the Demdike's house and had a wee party sort of thing, whereas they should have been in church. And that went against them. But a lot of the evidence, that's what I think the Pendle trials, because there's only, as you say, there's very little written about actual trials and stuff, but there is about the Pendle trial, for Thomas's Potts book, which is totally detailed. So a lot of the evidence here was based on the word of a child who had been coerced by the magistrate who was presiding over the trials. And to me, it's totally corrupt, but back then, that this guy was held in high esteem. He was a magistrate, nobody messed with him, and his word was law, basically. And then obviously Alice Nutter fell into the picture because she won the land dispute against him. So she was stuck in with the witches and accused of witchcraft, but she was never there for witchcraft in the first place. It was just, it was a horrible thing. I was watching a thing today, totally unrelated to witchcraft, about one of the youngest people ever executed in Britain, in the UK. It was back in the 1500s during the reign of Henry VIII. She was 11 years old. She was hung alongside two men, but they don't know why she was hung. There's very, very little evidence of what she actually know. She wasn't a heretic.
I bet you dimes to dollars association and who she knew. That's it. Not that anything else. It's usually how it ends. If you look at any child that ever unfortunately meets that fate, it's usually by association and nothing more. It sucks.
Well, they did say that. They says there was two men hung alongside her that day. During her trial, she was found guilty straight away and sentenced to death, and that was it. End of story. There was 2 men, so they think maybe that there was some kind of murder involved, and she that she carried out the murder, but she was there.
That's all it takes.
They ruled out witchcraft and being a heretic because obviously the punishment back then was burned to the stake. Treason, the punishment back then, Tudor times, for a woman was hanging, but because of her age, they says that they doubt very much Henry VIII would have seen her as a threat.
Probably.
And he probably wouldn't have ordered her execution, but for some reason she was hung. There is stories about a nine-year-old boy being hung, but they're not confirmed. And it's stuff like this. It sounds bad. You love finding out. It's all these wee things that you would never ever know unless you did research and what have you.
Yeah.
And
that's, I always say what's good actually about Lyn being where she is. She works just on facts. So she doesn't have any of the local stories that I know that I've grown up with. That in a lot of cases are nonsense. There's no actual facts behind them. We can do a case. We've done a case recently where we've been told there was hangings done on the property, but we found nothing to actually suggest that hangings. It makes no sense. Yes, possibly the only real hangings we think would have been around the uprising in 45 or something like that. That there may have been hangings carried out after that, but apart from that, we always go with the facts. So we might go and say to a client, okay, we came up with these names, but actually the only names we can actually tell you for definite are these, because we've actually found these people in records and whatnot. We know they were here, and that's really important to us, that we stick to the facts.
As we're the same kind of canoe. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people start talking about Edinburgh. That we're experts on Edinburgh by far. There's tons and tons to know about it. But I've watched a couple of shows and they'll come on and they'll talk away about locations in Edinburgh that are haunted or historic, and they give you all this cabbage comes out because they've read Wikipedia.
It's getting better slowly. It's getting better slowly.
I watched one show in particular months ago, and they were talking about Greyfriars, they were talking about the vaults as well. And they showed a picture of a skeleton that had been unearthed, and they said this was unearthed in Greyfriars in the Kirkyard. Was it? It wasn't. It was unearthed when they were building the tram lines. Nowhere near Greyfriars, you know. And they showed another picture of the so-called Edinburgh vaults. It wasn't. It was an old underground station. And they'll say this is the vault, you know. And another, it was actually Jamie Christophin. You see, he runs City of the Dead tours in Edinburgh, and he's based in Greyfriars and Worthy. And it was him who got in touch with me. He says, "You need to watch this show. This was flagged up to me, and I want you." So we ended up doing a show because he was racing as well, you know. And so we did a show that, you know, put things right. You know that we're fantastic at it. That's what I mean. But you know, Jamie wanted to come loose, so we had Jamie on and went for it, basically, you know. They had another image of the vaults, and the angle that the photograph was taken, it looks like it's a hole in the ground, in the floor. And the guy was saying this is a 400-foot deep pit that they used to throw bodies into. It wasn't. The photograph, if they took it the right way, it was a corridor that led into the old morgue. You know, that's now the basement of a pub next door. Mm-hmm. I think Lyn knows what I'm talking about. But if they took it, they were saying that this is 400 foot deep, and they used to throw bodies in. Seriously?
Yeah, it's a pet peeve of mine. I mean, you must do it as well. You watch a paranormal show, they're investigating a location that you've been to, and they're talking utter garbage about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
It's quite actually. I something slightly different as well, which I had a lot of respect for this guy until I watched Josh Gates doing In Search of Jacobite Gold, and he wasn't even the right bloody place for what he was looking for. So it was like, you know, okay, but you're on the wrong hill, mate. So, but yeah, I've seen things about Chillingham Castle, for instance, even in Inverary Jail, and that we've done, and it's we've not done Chillingham, but I visited Chillingham, and if you visited Chillingham, it's got torture chamber, but they actually tell you nothing here is from the castle. It's all stuff that's been brought into the castle. But when it was shown on TV, this is an authentic torture chamber. They used to torture people in here. Yeah, no, they didn't.
I know I've got a list that length. You know, two of them. One is you've heard of the Stone Circle and the Edinburgh Vaults. You know, I watched a certain team. They were doing an investigation there, and they're medium in with them, and she was pacing back and forth, you know, blood and sacrifice and fires coming up, and you know, I can't get near that. So much negativity, and you know, do you know they always put a hand in their head, don't they?
It's this or it's this.
So much negativity. I can't concentrate, you know. Rita Haywood, you know that. But anyway,
yeah, I've seen it.
They cannot enter the circle. So I asked Jamie Christopher, who's friend with the guy that owns the vaults, what's the story with the Stone Circle? And he says that was put there in 1984, and it's old rubble left over for the other street, for the Nidri Street vaults. We were working on the vaults and we had these loose bricks, gold or whatever, and I asked the guy, "Do you want these?" He says, "Aye, I'll stick a circle in one." So that's what he just put a circle. These clowns are in there, like, oh my, you know. And the other one that gets me, me being a Glaswegian, you've heard of the Gorbals vampire story, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the one that's done, yeah. The Highgate one, but no, the Gorbals one.
Long story aside, the Gorbals, there was a comic book came out in 1956, 1958, something like that. And the Gorbals is an area in Glasgow, the south side of Glasgow. And there's an necropolis there, right? It's hundreds of years old, this place. But there was a story in one of these comic books about a 6-foot vampire with iron teeth, you know. And so, you know, as your kids, you read a story and you want to be the superhero or what. So these kids decided, we're going to go and hunt for this vampire in the graveyard. So they did. And a couple of the kids came back and says, we found the vampire. And for some reason, the adults believed them. And it caused a big hysteria. The police were involved and everybody was in the graveyard hunting for this vampire. You know, but it was just a guy you made out of a comic book. But there's another team that investigated the necropolis. There's 2 necropolises in Glasgow. There's the main one in the city centre and the southern one. They were in the one in the city centre, and it says they found the grave of the Gorbals vampire. They'd made contact with the Gorbals. And I'm watching this, and I'm practically shouting at the telly, you're in the right bloody graveyard.
Good, I'm not the only one who yelled this.
2 miles south. Go south for 2 miles. You know, and the thing that really, you know, grabbed me was the individual who was doing the investigation. She's right, this is the grave here, I found it. And somebody's painted the railings. It really, really got to he's on the wrong graveyard. It's all right getting a name right, wrong or something, you know, or a date. But at least be in the right location. You know,
That's that has happened. Oh my god, that yeah, that has happened. I've seen some what they call legit television shows that screwed that up.
I mean, sorry, but I could rant all night about these people. You know, it's the same as when they go to.
That's when you say, raise your hand if you've actually yelled at the screen because you're like, that's stupid, you're doing it wrong. That's me. I did it last night. I was watching Paranormal, caught on tape, and went, that can't happen. That's a setup. I'm like, and then, of course, the doll. Oh, my favorite one. Any of you? The whole, oh, the doll must be demonic. That's one of my favorites.
I haven't gone. That's what really got me. I don't. What did you make of the upsurge? I think it was maybe the middle of last year time. There seemed to be an upsurge in the sale of haunted dolls. Now, I know there are documented cases around the world of things happening. I'm not distant slagging off haunted dolls, but there seemed to be a big upsurge on eBay, and it seemed like Amazon had a warehouse full of possessed dolls.
Yeah, well. We do have a haunted doll that's never done anything, but that's a different story because that actually was a doll that came from the Highlands of Scotland, went to New Zealand with a woman who she was disabled. She had to go over there so her daughter could look after her. She never wanted to be in New Zealand. She always wanted to be back in the Highlands. When she passed over, the doll was given, I think, to one of her grandchildren. They then thought there's negative energy around this doll. The child was behaving strangely and badly, so the doll was given to a guy, Mark Wallbank, in New Zealand, who runs Paranormal New Zealand, as they're called now. Mark comes over once a year. We kind of connected with him, and he said to me, "I've got something I'm going to take across next time because it should be with you guys." So they called her the homesick doll, and she now stays with us. So we've got the homesick doll. She's back in the Highlands and she's happy. So yeah, but we did. I can't remember, Lynn, were you on it or not? We worked with some of the other TAPS teams doing a page called Para Experience. We do online chat with that, and we did do a haunted objects one, and it was hilarious because we went onto eBay and we started reading all these adverts because they give them all a backstory.
Oh,
Frustrated
happened
lesbian, frustrated lesbian. That was one of them. So our favourite one, and I don't know, did you have Action Men in America?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
This wasn't even an Action Man. This was your cheap knockoff Action Man, right?
I wasn't a real Action Man.
But yeah, this is what you needed. If you had this doll, your sex life would perk up. That's what it was all about. Yeah. So there is an ongoing gag that one of the guys down in one of the ladies down in Yorkshire has that doll now, and she does collect dolls, but she will not admit to having the Action Man doll. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think some guy actually he went to a charity shop, bought a doll for £5, and sold it on eBay for 30 as an experiment.
Smokes.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
crazy.
ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
What's your take, Lyn, on the whole scenario?
Again, it's people making money. The real paranormal is much more mundane than that, I think.
Oh, definitely.
As Liam says, they give them all a backstory. You know, I watched a team, or one member of a team, a few months back. They'd haunted dolls. You know, the boy doll and the girl doll, and they turned out they were brother and sister, and they drowned in the same river, and they're finally back together again. But if you go on eBay or Amazon and look it up, they're still sitting in their box in a warehouse. You know, and then this clown.
What did I do? I did a Google reverse search on the dolls, and they are a dime a dozen.
It's some little guy sitting in a room with a pen like that, right? We'll call him Mary, and he fell off a high wall, and she followed him, right? Stick that in that box, get that. And
yeah,
this other doll.
We're doing our haunted dolls. Actually, I was doing a highlighting historical haunted dolls and going, okay, I can't verify that that's happening. I've never been there, but I said, this is what they're saying. So I did Robert the Doll, and I did the Doll Island, and I did the Japanese haunted doll. And then all of a sudden, that's when that happened with the two dolls that came out of nowhere. They started talking about it. So everything I had done trying to explain how a haunted doll becomes a haunted doll almost gets blown out of the water because they decide to do a different splash on it. And I'm like, wait a minute, you just took all my research and everything and went, no, not happening. Like, oh, you jackasses. By the way, I had a lot of fun with those.
See, I'm not doubting the whole haunted doll. There are cases out there that things have happened around certain dolls, objects, whatever. Haunted objects, this has always fascinated me. You know, there's a location that we do with Spig, and I can't tell you because it's David that takes us to this location, but there's David works in this place. There's a display cabinet in this corridor, and every time you put the K2 on top of it, it goes nuts. Now, David knows this building inside out. He knows every nail and screw in it. He says there's no electrical wiring whatsoever in the area right round it or on the floor. There's nothing that would make that. But as soon as you take the K2 off it, the K2 goes flat. And it happens, we've done it about 4 or 5 times we've been there now. And it's the one place I always make sure I go to because I'm always curious. You know, I'm going to the cabinet. And it's full of old hats and badge medals and stuff like that for, 200 years ago, whatever. And it's always fascinated me. So do you think it's possible that, say a gentleman wins a medal in life and it means, or a kid, and it means so much to him that after he passes, he'll still watch over that, medal, hat, whatever it was. What do you think?
I think there's something there. There's energy. I don't think we understand it, but there's definitely some energies there in some objects that that still seems to be there. I mean, we work with people over the years who've picked up objects and basically had visions of these objects. And these are not people who are having them all the time. It can be like a one-off or a, that once or twice it's happened to them in their entire life. And then, you get the stories as well. I mean, again, it's a lot of it's down to mediums and claims from mediums, and it's very hard, obviously, to actually verify, that. But again, I've seen the guys work with West Yorkshire guys, slightly different, but they were doing an air museum, and in one of the cabinets was a World War II compass, and they actually asked, was there anybody here, blah, blah, blah. If you're here now with this compass, can you move the compass? And the compass moved. The needle on the compass started moving on command for them. So, that was quite impressive as well. Could have been just, there was a spirit in the room, and the spirit was acting with that device or whatever. But, I think there's certainly something going on there.
We've used a compass a few times, and the bugger's never moved. And he got it to move. It's never worked.
We've started using the compass, and I don't know when if you had any success. We had success up at Late Hay, where we asked for the compass to move, and the compass moved. But it's a one-off. It's a bit like REM pods with me. My REM pod has gone off once on an investigation. I had my back turned to it, and I was like, what's that? And by the time I turned round, the REM pod was off again. So, but compass. I think it's we do seem to get some results, and I do know some people will say, there's magnetic fields, and they will cause fluctuation. But I think when a compass is steadily doing nothing, and then you go, can you move the compass, and the compass moves. I think you can kind of go, well, that's not a magnetic field. That's a big coincidence.
I'm the same way with K2s. I love the K2s, and I know a lot of people put them down. And I know there's 2,000 different things you can set it off, but if you've got one that's sitting dormant, and then you ask, can you make it go to yellow or red, whatever, and it does it, and then it goes back to being dead again, basically. You can't, I don't know how to debunk that. Same as the REM pods, a lot of people don't like them, but I mean, we do the train. We do the train station here. We partnered up with the local train station here, and the first investigation we done, we get REM pod activity all night basically, and people would probably say it's a faulty REM pod, the battery's dodgy, which is fine. The thing that struck me was we took a break for about 15-20 minutes, and we left I was Laura's phone. We left Laura's phone running, recording, and so we went next door. It's open plan, so it's in the next bit of the room basically, and we were in there for about 15-20 minutes, and the REM pod only went once in that entire time, and then when we went back and started, talking again, it started going off again. Now, none of us were near it. I know people would probably say it's because you left the room, there was nobody near it, but none of us were near the REM pod to start with. I found that fascinating.
Yeah.
How it just went, there was just one time, and then that was it. And it wasn't until later on that I actually realised it. I think it was a couple of days later, I was watching it back, and I thought, wait a minute, that REM pod's not going off.
Yeah. But I always say when I'm doing, especially when I'm doing events with the public, that I get excited if I go into one room and get nothing, and go into the next room and I get something. Because if I'm going into every room and getting something, I'm very suspicious. Somebody's got their mobile phone on, or or there's Wi-Fi, or there's something affecting other equipment. But if you go into, sometimes we'll do a location, we might go to 10 rooms, and you might only get activity in one of those rooms. But I say to folk, well, that kind of proves to me that, as far as I'm concerned, that, that is a possibility that what we're dealing with here is paranormal. As long as you've done your checks beforehand, so you know there's nothing in the room that can affect it.
Oh, I completely agree. It's when I feel things or see things, I like the validation of the equipment, because if something's happening, now it's going off, and now everyone else is seeing, because they can't see what I'm seeing or feel what I'm feeling, but then all of a sudden that goes off. So I completely understand it, and it doesn't happen all the time. I remember the one time I was on an investigation, and I said, I'm going to go over this way. Whatever it is does not want me over there. And someone, of course, the big skeptic of the group goes, oh, come on, there's nothing over there. They had placed this device that does that goes off as a screaming siren. And then all of a sudden he starts approaching. It goes off, mind you. No, we know for a fact that nobody had any cell phones on. No one had any radios near them, and the whole area is nothing but metal. So it's metal everywhere. So of course it's loud. And the person giving the talk told the skeptic, she said not to go over there.
It's good to be. I'm a skeptic, you know.
So it's so like that. It's a good story to tell. I wish I had it on video, but it's one of those thank you equipment for backing me up. And then there's times where I feel something and the equipment doesn't do shit.
Jennifer swore.
I did swear. Anyway, but I get it. But you're right. You go in places. I don't want to be paranoid. I can't think of the proper word. Exposed. I want to go, okay, that's mundane. Thank you for being mundane. But yeah, it's those times where I'm like, okay.
And I think it's good. You've got to be skeptical. That 100%. You need to, you know, you need to. You also need to have that 20-30% of you that, you know, on the fence, basically, because there's too many teams out there that they hear every noise is paranormal, and they'll no bother going and having a look about, you know, just to see, was it a bird, was it a mouse, was it, you know, a door, you know, and so you do need to be that bit skeptical, and we're very, usually the same problem. We're very open to, you know, people want to come and challenge whatever we've picked up on.
We can laugh our asses off when a huge skeptic becomes a semi-believer for half a second.
Yeah.
As when you see somebody who just totally doesn't believe, and then all of a sudden it's the face, you know, it's you get. I've always said you get that look. You can tell when somebody's faking it, you know, because there's certain fake faces, you know, but when you see somebody's genuine reaction, they can't fake that, you know, and you can tell it's genuine. They think, and they might not scream or anything, but if you're watching them and they could be standing in the back of a crowd, but you see their face and they're kind of looking about, but they'll not admit it. They'll not say, well, I just felt this or something, but you can see the face changing. It's like a place we do Loud and Cut, and we've been doing the Dempster cottages. The guy that owns the cottages, he came down on an investigation about 3 or 4 weeks ago that Laura and I done, and the REM pod, we always put a REM pod on the same bit, same headstone every time we go, and we've been there for about 2 years. And the REM pod's never moved. But this particular night, the REM pod came flying off. Look at the grass it landed on. Now, Laura and I were maybe about 10 feet away, but we were nowhere near it. But this REM pod came flying off. And the guy that was ways, he never seen it, but he heard it. And it was just the look on his face. You know, because he knew Laura and I hadn't moved. And, you know, and it wasn't a mouse or anything like that, because we were standing there. There was nothing there, but it's just the way it was almost as if somebody came along and thought, I don't want that one there. You know, get away. It's things like that. I mean, a skeptic would probably have field day with that one.
There's a word for it, Scott. It's called being a skeptical believer.
Okay.
You go in with skepticism. You go in with your science. But you're believing and hoping that maybe there's that little tiny hint of hope that there's going to be something there. That's the believer part. So you are a skeptical believer. Welcome to the team.
Jennifer has to get all technical about it and scientific with fancy words. You know, I just go in. I had a conversation with a certain gentleman a couple of weeks ago on Facebook, and you know, this guy's caused quite an upset in the paranormal. I don't know if you've heard it or not.
Well, I think this is a gentleman that I defriended due to he actually put a friend request to me a while back, and then I want to say he was having a mental episode, because that is clearly what it looked like on Facebook. He was just basically baiting everybody, being quite horrible to everybody, and clearly has a huge ego, and yeah, he was just being horrible to people, and I just thought, you know what, I don't need to see this. You know, if that's the way you're going to be. I had noticed, Scott, that you'd commented back and something, and he didn't even answer your question. You know, he was just on the attack straight away again.
And I mean, I can't remember the comment, but I put just a comment, an innocent enough comment, because I looked at the guy's profile and he looked okay, apart from the hair. But that's another story. You know, they strapped me on the hairdo. Flock of seagulls comes to mind, but whatever. You remember Lyn Liam, wouldn't you?
I remember Flock of Seagulls. Well, if you've ever watched The Wedding Singer, even if you've not heard of The Flock of Seagulls, there's a scene at the end of The Wedding Singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. About when he's talking about the whole flock of seagulls, and he's all a fan, and he's all, no, but you are. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, the flock, he's got the hairstyle.
The guy looked all right, you know, so then I accepted him as a friend, and then bang, 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 bang. It was all afternoon. It was every 5 minutes or something.
Well, why do people have to be so mean? I don't get it.
He was just attacking every single corner of the paranormal field. And I put another comment, and I think we're just a normal team. We go, because he was talking about mimicking TV shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I said, we just go into investigation and see what happens. We don't have any expectations, nothing. And he came back at me because of it. And I thought, you know what? I mean, I've always said, it's the same as yourselves, you know, I'll defend PIH to the hill, the same as you will defend your own team. And I thought, you know what? No chance, you know. And so and for a wee split second, I was tempted to get him on the show and rip him a new one. You know what I mean? I was so tempted just to. Then I thought,
not worth it.
Because it's no worth it. That's exactly what it was wanting. It's not worth it.
I heard a little rumor the other day from somebody that apparently he's sued.
He was sued.
He's being sued. Yeah, after his article, he said something to the wrong person. But yeah, he's basically his sales pitch seemed to be that he basically wants people to say, right, this is a haunted location, you can't stay here the night. He's going to go in and he's going to stay the night in this location because there's no such thing as ghosts, as far as he's got no proof. There's no proof at all of any existence. That seems to be kind of the sales pitch. He's alienated everybody. I don't think anybody will take him.
Talk about gaslighting, jeez.
Yeah, he's
and I think he was on, like, I mean, in the past he's been on, you know, the BBC over here talking as a kind of expert in the field and things like that. So, but yeah, it's a shame. It's sad. I mean, we had an issue last week where I still can't get to the bottom of this. So we had a video that we actually put out a couple of months ago now, and it was just a dowsing rod session from up at a place called Bad Bay. It was a clearance village, so it was an old village where they'd actually, as part of the Highland clearances, they'd move people into this village, and I mean it's just rubble that's left. But it was an emotional session. But all of a sudden, somebody shared it, and the viewing figures over the next few days just went like that. But also came this is effing this and that's effing that, and that kind of comments started appearing on our page about it. Interestingly enough, Facebook doesn't tell you who shared your video if that person's got their page sort of tied down. So I've no way of telling who shared that video. I think the video was shared about 13 times in total, and I can only tell 2 people shared it. It tells me 13 people shared it, or pages it was shared to. Actually, I can only see 2. But yeah, it's again, and it was the kind of abuse that sort of, and it was a minority, but it's not nice. And I mean, I know you guys, you keep your page private, and certainly certain things we had to tie down as well on our page in the past. But yeah, it's for it.
It's annoying. I mean, we had a public page for 2 years, Jennifer, near enough.
2 years.
2 years, and I don't know, 2,500 followers, whatever it was, and you spoke there with who you lived.
Just make them part of the fairy tale. They're going to be put in the fairy tale. They want to be the troll. Let them be the troll. Because, sorry, the knight always wins. Troll is that way.
I forgot what I was saying there, you. So read the public page, and it was, we did right. Sounds big-headed, not meant to be big-headed, but it did, it was getting there, and we're doing pretty well. And then we get the troll issues and not the usual. So we decided, we're just going to go and turn it into a private page. And the private page is doing really, really well. But it's annoying that quite a few of your guests mail me and say, right, how can I share this out? And because it's private, you can't share it out. Say, well, they'll need to join us to be able to watch it and stuff like that. And so it's got its drawbacks. It's good that you've got control over who joins and who comments. If there's anybody wanting to put posts up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like that. And I mean, it's a paranormal, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's not a competition. Some folk it is a competition. But don't even start me in that one. It's you get these teams who try to outdo you at the same location. Have you ever had that?
We have a team that go around every location we've been at and try to get into that location. And we don't have the right to go into any location and say it's ours. That's no way would I ever say that. But this team refuses to connect with us at all. They sneak about behind our backs. So it's a bit frustrating, to be perfectly fair. Yeah, I heard last night again that they've gone and approached, one of the locations that we go to on a regular basis, and asked to do things.
There's James in Australia. She's one half of Hectic Paranormal. You'll need to excuse the photographs where she's wearing her panda hoodie, panda fluffy. She's brilliant, but the beginning going last Sunday in the tournament. Hectic Paranormal, give a wee look up because I'm insane. But they're like 9 hours ahead of us, so that's about 7:30 or something in the morning over there. But
I have a good question for both Liam and Lyn. Have you ever had someone attempt to steal your evidence and try to claim it as their own?
No, I don't think so.
Or copy your evidence and make it their own? Either way.
No, I think I'd remember that.
Oh,
No,
you're
I
lucky then. You're very lucky.
Yeah.
With a
That's
group,
good. That's good to know.
with a group
It seems, I don't know how much you know about what happens here in the United States, but we do have a lot of teams that like to fabricate and claim things that are theirs. So that's why I had to ask that question. I don't know how often it happens over there. Hopefully not at all. But that's good to hear. Yay. That's very good to hear.
What were you going to say, Lyn?
I just with some team want their haunted doll to experiment on and keep, and they would put it behind glass and things like that, like there's magic glass.
Have you guys ever been on a case where someone has attempted or faked something so that it would be deemed as real, but then later you found out it was fake?
I've been in a place. There's a place where we go to Loudon Kirk. We've been doing it for about 2 years. I was a lot to do. We're actually doing a wee couple of hectic paranormal there. But we've gathered a lot of evidence and we've had it validated. We always believe to try and validate everything we pick up, which we have. But there was another team went about a month, 2 months ago, something like that, and I watched it live, and they had one of the team members had the headphones on, and they were standing next to a wall, and they were saying, I can't remember, they said it was Thomas something, and I was a Covenanter, and he died in such and such, and he's buried right here. So the next time we were at Loudon Kirk, I was standing in the exact same spot that this person was standing in, and right there was the person's headstone. Thomas, Covenanter, died 1740, whatever the year was. It took me a couple of minutes to click on. I looked at it and looking at it, wait a minute. This is where they were standing, and so you get a team that they're going to they'll put on the act, but they're reading off a headstone. I think, why? It's not going to gain you any brownie points or anything. It's not going to gain you any followers. Well, I don't like gain them followers, who knows? But it was so funny after I clicked on the person being reading off a wall.
I don't think we've had anybody fake on us. Yeah, we've had. I remember we did the mobile phone app one that was genuinely, they thought about. Again, they genuinely thought they'd captured a ghost. I think Lyn pretty quickly debunked it when she. That's the same. That's exactly the same girl that was spotted in a hospital in America 6 months ago. I'm trying to think. We did have one which was a case that was really. It was complicated. It was in a pub in Inverness, and the pub was struggling financially. Mm-hmm. So they'd had an event on there. The lady who had the event, she had a picture which showed a transparent figure holding a glass, looking at her. And we thought straight away, too good to be true. But we hadn't been going that long at that point. I mean, I think maybe a couple of years. I'm not even sure, actually, Lyn, whether you were part of the team then. It might have been in the first couple of years.
I've just joined Neil Lang.
Yeah. So we kind of looked at it and we thought, okay. And then we thought, we kind of went off and we spoke to the pub. Have you got CCTV? Do you recognize this man? Have you got CCTV? No, CCTV, it's not working. No, we don't recognize recognised the man. We then, by that point, worked out that it was a long exposure. You know, you can see the light streaks. And what I then did was I actually replicated it. I set my camera up on a tripod, set a long exposure, walked into shot, walked out of shot. Hey, Liam the ghost. But we still couldn't. We were kind of, that's the route we're taking with this. We don't think it is. But the next thing, two of the regulars come forward. That's our father that's passed away. And I'm getting inundated with phone calls from the press because the pub have been phoning all the newspapers and stuff like that. And I'm like, what's going on here? This is crazy. But then on the Sunday, the photograph appeared in the paper. And then that one woman came and says, that's my husband. He's very much alive. Yes, he was there. He clearly what he saw was he saw the lady was taking a photograph. As soon as he did, he walked back out of the shop. It was an absolute pantomime. And I think the pub actually closed about 2 weeks after we investigated it. We did, however, pick up a really interesting mist on camera in that pub. But yeah, no gentleman. But yeah, I think most of the time people genuinely believe they've got something. One of my other favourites was one where we were doing a building. We debunked a lot. I won't go into that. But at the end of the night, they basically said to us, "Oh, we've got video I want to show you. It's of a cordless drill, hand drill, going off by itself. It's recorded on a mobile phone, which is clearly on vibrate. And as soon as somebody rings the phone starts doing that. And, oh, look, the drill's going." And we're going, "No, it's not. That's not the drill. That's your phone." They stormed out of the room. They would not accept that, we were telling them. But that one always makes me chuckle.
Oh gosh.
People can see things. It's happened to me many years ago. Me and a friend of mine, we were in the pub and we were sitting. And back then, you could just smoke in the pub. So you remember the metal ashtrays you used to get. It was McEwen's export ashtrays and all the rest with the tartan pattern on it and stuff like that. There was one sitting in the middle of the table, and it was just me, Brian, sitting, and the ashtray started moving very slowly across the table. And I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, we're both looking at the ashtray, we're looking about, but this thing's just going like that across the table. So obviously we're thinking, what's going on here? Who's moving the ashtray? Then the barmaid came over and wiped the table. There was a wee thin film of water on the table, and the ashtray was actually floating on the table. Is that, you couldn't see, and it was just moving. Then the lassie came out and she wiped the table because the table was wet. And it's things with this, but some people would say, cheers, Doc, talk to you soon. Some people would say, right, that's paranormal. I saw that ashtray move all the way across the table. But I put our hands up, me and Brian were kind of, looking at it thinking, what's doing that? But it turned out it was just a wee bit of water. And sometimes the most simplest explanation. But I've just noticed the time there, folks.
Again.
I had to go get it back, just running low.
You always see me do this, keep me up late. I don't know why.
I don't know. It's not deliberate.
We have a part 4, but we're going to wind on. But what's up next for Highland Paranormal?
You're up next for Highland Paranormal, I think. I'm trying to think whether we've got I can't remember. We do virtual meets. I can't remember if we've got one next week or not, Lyn, to be honest. It might not be. It might be the following week, I think. So our next one, I think, certainly our next outing is with you guys on the 12th. So weekend off. Yeah, second weekend off for me, actually. Which is kind of been rare. We've been very busy with going here, there, and everywhere. So it'll be good. And then, as I said, we're kind of busy after that. We've got we're going back to a farmhouse, an abandoned farmhouse, which is huge, and we've kind of got access to that whenever we like. So we're going back into that one again in a couple of weeks' time as well. And then, as we said, we'll be doing Castle Fraser. And we're also going to be going to Different House in Portsoy. There's Castle Fraser.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love the turret area. That's awesome.
There you go.
I'm enamored with the stonework. It's so beautiful. It looks like it's done in 2 different ways. Was it?
Yeah, it's a big cut. It's quite a big cut.
Well, no, I'm talking about the brick on one side and then the flat on the other.
Yeah, I think it's Harold in parts. It's been built in classic square tower house, and then turrets have been added onto it.
Interesting.
Yeah, most Scottish castles are like that. Well, most castles that are still complete are all got add-ons over the years, so they've kind of changed in appearance. But it's big. And yeah, and then Inveraray Jail as well. So we're going back to Inveraray, which will be good.
Okay, I really got to put a rush on that passport. Dang it!
You did. Jennifer's been threatening for about a year she's going to get a passport. She's still not done it.
I have no. It's in the process. Are you kidding? Do you know how long it takes for an American to get a freaking passport?
No idea.
You don't want to know.
It's good when you get, you say, Liam, you're going out far and you can go in it. Is it that we're like that with the train station? We've not done the train station for a couple of months now. Because we've got other stuff on, you know how it is. And we're kind of stopping our shows end of August for a couple of months to try and concentrate on stuff that's been in the back burner. Jennifer will be doing some shows anyway.
I'm going to attempt to do some with all Facebook Lives. He's trying to convince me to use this, and I'm not really comfortable with running.
Okay, but you know, I want to convince her. I will.
I know Facebook Lives at the back of my head. I swear. No, I'll be doing stuff. So watch out for that. Trying to get things going for August. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Laura's waiting on me, picking her up. I'm meant to pick Laura up for the wedding. Oops. Be right with you, dear. Don't just you hang on there.
Lovely.
I'll be right there. 5 minutes. I'll be right there. Your shifty on. Go about her. She's going to slap me. But no, so we're up to Inverness on the 12th, 1 week Saturday, to meet up with these fine people over there, and we'll be hoping to go live as much as possible. And but we're going to wind up there. So big thanks to Lyn. It was great to meet you for the first time, and I'll see you next week, Lyn.
Yep.
If you can get to Portsoy on your way to Inverness,
I'll be shot by that time.
2 steak pies. I can take them home. You have an oven. And it's the last shop on the left as you're leaving Portsoy, and you know, and because we'll be coming up the other way, we'll be coming up through the mountains. You know what I mean? And so we'll see. And thanks very much to Liam. We've seen them again because we're going to do a part 4 anyway. And a big thanks to Jennifer for coming in. You'll be seeing Jennifer a lot more. So I better say goodnight, and I better go and pick up Laura because she'll be hammered by now probably. She's been at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And I do apologise. She's going to punch me.
You're the one that has to deal with both Sarah and Laura and Craig. That's on you. I'm upstairs. It's only 2:50 p.m. I'm good.
We're out here, folks, and we'll talk to remind watch a week on Saturday, 12th. We'll be in Inverness or thereabouts with these fine people. So keep an eye out, and thanks for watching. Take care. Bye. Bye.